What could cause a market crash? This is a very big question, both for singles and slabs and sealed product alike. What could actually cause this insane Pokemon market situation we're in at the moment to come to an absolute halt and for prices to drop drastically? I've been doing a few videos around this topic lately and, well, similar to this topic. I was talking about speculation, I was talking about oversaturation to the market, and I was talking about, is Pokemon investing in a current bubble at the moment? But this is a bigger question. This is almost a question that eclipses all of that. What happens if the worst happens? And look, it's not good to dread the worst, but what actually would happen if a crash would occur? But more importantly than that, what could cause that? What would actually cause a crash? This is one of those videos where you don't need to have anything up on the screen because there's no graphics. This is a discussion, debate-based topic. Pop it on in the headphones while you're going for a walk, pop it on in the car while you're going for a spin, or most importantly, pop it on the telly if you're doing some homework around the house. So let's get into it. Here's my thoughts, and I'm going to delve into these quite deeply. I think you need a perfect storm to have a market crash. And whether it's the share market, whether it's something like NFTs, whether it's something like sneakers, whether it's crypto, you ask yourself across the years, what actually causes a crash? And if we transfer the market economics of what causes crashes across other areas and transfer it to Pokemon, it's really a lot of things. So there needs to be a lot more supply than demand. So in this case, you could probably work off the fact that, Pokemon cards would have to get reprinted into oblivion. So that's one topic I want to touch on. The second thing is when demand is purely speculative in a market and it's not actually true, that's another reason we could see massive market crashes. And the third thing I think is you would need, in the Pokemon space, you would need a massive break from the community. The community would need to lose confidence in the IP. The community would need to lose confidence in the product. And I think if you have all those three things combined, and even to a small degree, that's going to cause some level of market crash. So, and I guess the fourth component would be, and those three things probably interchange with each other, and I want to delve into all three of them in detail. The fourth thing would probably be just all of that causing a massive flood of product onto the market that the demand just can't simply soak up. And that's what I talk when it all comes down to supply and demand, doesn't it, really? We need just a massive drop in demand due to a lot of circumstances and a huge increase in supply. And then we're going to see prices drop. Like we will see a crash if that happens. So let's delve into those a little bit more deeply. One, and this is probably the big one because it's the one hanging over everyone's head as an investor. Whether you invest in singles, whether you invest in slabs, or whether you invest in sealed, this is the one that's looming over everyone's head, and that is the new printing facility that Pokemon has very much announced that they're gonna do. It's happening, it's underway, it'll be operational in the not too distant future. And I guess everyone's a little bit unsure because Pokemon aren't very public when it comes to particularly their printing numbers on specific sets. But we know roughly how many cards get printed on a global scale annually, and it generally comes out across the Japanese financial year, which of course runs from March through to March. So with all that in mind, though, it's so unsure what's going to happen with this printing facility. I mean, is it going to be solely dedicated to English cards? We know Pokemon is expanding in a lot of different languages. We know it's becoming more and more popular across the globe. Will it be used to print in some different languages? Will it only be used for English? Will it only be used for Pokemon cards? Will it be used for other products as well? All of those things are unknown. But let's work off the assumption that English production is going to ramp up. Why? Because they can't reach demand at the moment. Like, there are too many people wanting too many products, and there's just not enough demand. And what happens then, of course, is the whole scalping situation is that, people know that people want these cards so badly that they will bot them out online, they will camp inside stores, they will fight for sealed product simply to resell it. So what happens in that circumstance is, and I've talked about this before, is when a product comes out, typically it would go to the primary sellers of these products. So it goes from distribution to the primary sellers. Now, the primary sellers are the storefronts, and the primary sellers are online shops as well. And they will sell the product to the market, typically at a recommended retail price. Now, what's happening, of course, is everyone's botting out or camping out and buying up that product at recommended retail price and then reselling it for a higher price. So it creates or generates a new market price. And that market price is very expensive. Sometimes it's 1.5 times recommended retail price. Sometimes it's 2 times recommended retail. Sometimes it's 3 times recommended retail price, or 5 times recommended retail price if it comes to Pokemon Center Elite trainer boxes at the moment. It's insane how much that is happening. But I suppose the whole idea is, the printing facility is to, if I was the Pokemon Company International, I wouldn't like that my product gets scalped. And I don't know what their thoughts are. No one is involved in the board meetings there. But when we sit down and have some level of meetings in Toyota world, we had similar problems around scalping some of our products during COVID, when supply was really, really tight on a lot of cars. And in Australia, we can't charge above recommended retail price at a dealer level. I know in the US you can. But what would happen is private individuals would buy cars with no intent of ever driving them. They would literally just buy it to resell it because they know they could make a quick 10 grand. They know they could make a quick 20 grand. And there is no capital gains tax to be paid on cars currently in Australia. So it was a really quick way for people to flip products and make money. And from a brand's point of view, that was actually quite devastating to the brand. And how did we say we fix it? Well, we need to get more supply. That's how we fix that problem. And I know people are speculating so much about this print facility, but that's probably one of the first problems as a brand, as a company, that you want to address. The secondary market, I think, is somewhat important. Not as important as people probably place on it from the Pokemon Company International's point of view, but to have your brand just scalped and resold and have other people make profit where it should be yours, so to speak, that should be your profit. That shouldn't be other people's profit. Now, that's not to say you raise your prices. That's to say, well, we need to get more product out there so we can capitalize on the amount of demand for this product. So I honestly think that is the sole reason for building this printing facility. It's just to meet demand. Now, what does that mean as a whole, though, when it comes to, well, what's going to happen? Are we going to go back in time and reprint out-of-print sets that are super popular? Is sets like Evolving Skies going to get reprinted? Are sets like 151 going to get reprinted? Well, no, yes, maybe. But there's some mechanics in play that stop that. Of course, the whole idea from a original point of view was that when Pokemon first got invented with base set, it was, we create this huge hobby that people love, which is Pokemon, the Game Boy games, the anime, and we transfer it to a trading card game where friends can verse each other, where kids can verse their friends playing this game. Also, there's going to be a collectability component to it where people will want to chase the shiny ones, the holographic cards. And, in its infancy, that was the whole ethos behind the card game. And now, of course, the player base is still huge. Tournaments are still big. People still love the competitive side of the game, but we all know the collectability of the game has really probably eclipsed that. It wasn't as big back in 1999, 2000, 2001, when Wizards of the Coast was printing cards. It's become a much bigger beast than that now. But there are some things that come into play there, which is obviously competitive rotation. Once cards are out of rotation, they typically shouldn't be reprinted because they're not usable in tournaments. Now, keep in mind that there's often individual cards that will get reprinted, maybe with a new artwork. Think of cards like Boss's Order that got reprinted multiple times, so it stayed in competitive rotation. That does happen. But to go back in time and reprint sets, it's very rare. XY Roaring Skies was extremely borderline, out of rotation, getting reprinted. Another one was Shining Fates during COVID era, but that was technically reprinted out of rotation, but it was because rotation was so out of whack due to COVID. Tournaments weren't being held because everything was in lockdown, and rotation got thrown out of whack. So you could almost argue that didn't happen, but I guess you could say there's been a couple of circumstances in history where it's either been touch and go or cards have been somewhat reprinted out of rotation. And look, whether that's extra stock, whether it's a full-blown reprint, whether it's we've found additional product at the back of the warehouse which we need to move out, pass on to distribution, and pass on to stores. It's impossible to know. Like, we don't know all those facts. And the general rule of thumb is, once a set is out of rotation, it is very, very close, if not 90 to 99% certainty that that set will not be reprinted. And I guess that's the fear. The fear is that everyone's holding 151. The market is screaming out for more 151. Would it make sense to reprint it if your printers have that capacity now? That's the fear, I guess, that everyone's a little bit worried about. And look, if that does happen, either the market absorbs it like that, or we start to see a decline in prices. And I think anything above a 30% decline in all sealed product, all singles, all slabs, you would class that as a bit of a crash for that set. So reprinting to oblivion could have an impact on a market crash. Before we move on to point number 2, I just wanted to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, which is of course the Collector app. So good. Like, this is the ultimate app when it comes to investing and collecting. You put all your single cards inside there. You can constantly track their market movement. And from an investing standpoint, that is so important to see what your products and singles and graded cards are doing. You can look at things like set analytics for every English and Japanese set to see what the top chase cards are, how they're performing. As a pro user, there's so much more data you can look at. You can go way back in time and explore how sets have been performing across time. The Collector app is the one-stop shop. Again, there'll be a link in the description to download that one. So the second one is speculative demand. And we've seen this. We've seen speculative demand on markets like NFTs and even sneakers, even something like Beanie Babies. Like, we've seen speculative demand on collectibles and other markets in the past. And if the market is purely driven by speculative demand, like, what, honestly, an NFT, right? Like, what actual value does it have? Like, you can create a digital piece of artwork, and it's like, well, what purpose does it really serve? The people that were buying them off speculation. And look, you could somewhat argue the same thing for Pokemon cards, but Pokemon cards have some nostalgic and some intrinsic value. They also have some extrinsic value where you can hang them on the wall as a bit of artwork, a bit of history, a bit of 1 of 100, a bit of I'm the only 1 in 20 people or 1 in 58 people, depending on the PSA population, that has this card, this super rare one that's worth lots of money in a PSA 10. And I can show my mates and they can all say I'm cool. That's sort of what happens in the Pokemon card world. Like, it is more than speculative. It's not speculative. But there is some level of speculative demand at the moment. Like, a lot of people are thinking they can make it from Pokemon cards. A lot of people are thinking they can get rich from Pokemon cards. A lot of people are thinking that sealed booster box cases are going to be their retirement fund if they just buy or rent a shed under lock and key, and they buy hundreds of booster cases, and they're all going to be worth 50 grand in 20 years time, and then they can retire early. Like, that is somewhat speculative demand. Like, you don't know that is going to happen. I mean, you can say the same thing about property. You could say the same thing about shares. You don't know they're going to go up. But there is some level of speculative demand. And the more speculative demand the hobby has, the more slightly uneasy that I get. Now, the third one I wanted to talk about, and this sort of ties into that speculative demand, is a massive confidence break from the community. If mountains and mountains of people leave the hobby due to confidence reasons, that's going to be a bad thing. That could lead towards some level of crash. And it's like, well, what's going to drop confidence in the product? The only thing I remember from the countless times we have seen confidence drops or people leave or demand start to slow is generally if there's a few bad sets. Like, that will do it. Like, literally, you could have 4 or 5 bad sets in a row, and it's enough to drop confidence. But at the moment, the hobby is still holding on. Even though we've had sets like Perfect Order, even though we've had sets like Chaos Rising about to come out, like, there's a couple of average sets in a row, people are still holding on that we've got sets like 30th Anniversary. People are holding on that we get a Rayquaza-based set. So people trust this hobby enough at the moment that I don't think we can have a confidence break, but multiple bad sets will do it. The other thing that happens is like when a new era comes out, and we're about to, of course, hit a new generation, Generation 10, there can be a confidence break then because people go, oh, I don't know these Pokemon. Oh, they've got special illustration rares of them and I don't really know them. Yeah, I've seen them in the game, but you know, they don't have any relevance or nostalgia to me. I don't like the new artwork that they've brought out in this era. We saw at the start of Scarlet and Violet era. We saw even a card like Magikarp be worth $25 US raw when Paldea Evolved came out. That's how little confidence was in Scarlet and Violet era when it first came out. So lack of confidence due to new era or multiple bad sets can cause people to leave the hobby and lose confidence in the whole Pokemon Company trading card game. It's a whole an investment piece and can therefore cause a crash in market prices. And all of those things combined, you know, if that happens and people leave the hobby, what they'll want to do is cash in on their way out. And if we see a massive flood of product on the market, like hypothetically, and I don't really like hearing this argument because I don't completely agree with it, but everyone going like, oh, well, everyone's storing prismatic evolutions, and in 3 years' time, when everyone's made their money, they're going to flood the market with it, and therefore prices are going to absolutely crash to zero. I mean, like, yeah, that makes sense to a degree, but not everyone's going to hit their product on the market at the exact same time. They're not all just going to have a penny drop in their head and just go, yep, let's put them up for sale. eBay and TCG Player are now absolutely flooded with product. Like it's not going to happen at the exact same rate. But I get the point. If we do get a flood of product onto the market, we're going to see a reduction in prices. And whether that's going to be deemed as a crash, I don't know exactly. But here's my thoughts around the whole thing. Pokemon has proven to be generational. It will prove, or it'll continue, in my opinion, to have market movements. It'll have ups, it'll have sideways, it'll have downs, and then it'll have ups again. Like that will just happen. I think it's solidified itself enough as a true collectible market that it can ride out the waves. Here's the other thing that I think will happen. New sealed product, in my opinion, will grow slower. It's growing more rapidly at the moment on good sets because of that argument I said before that, you know, the people that are supposed to sell it aren't. Scalpers are buying it and reselling it. And therefore we're seeing this initial massive bursting growth on sealed product. Like that's not a sustainable thing. That's a quick cash grab from a lot of new players in the field. But overall, I think because of the amount of modern sealed product and also the increase in print run, I don't think we'll see the drastic rise we've seen on a lot of even Sun and Moon or X and Y or previous like black and white booster boxes. I don't think they're going to reach the insane heights that some of those sets have made. Like, here's an example, right? If you go back to Sun and Moon era, the good sets have gone absolutely crazy. Team Up, Unified Minds, Unbroken Bonds have all gone crazy. But even the mid-tier sets that aren't that great, like sets like Lost Thunder and Celestial Storm, those booster boxes are all worth lots of money. I can't see the mid-tier sets from Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet, due to the sheer number of people that are holding, quite reach those heights. That doesn't mean they're not going to go up. They're still going to go up. They're just not going to go up as quickly or to the same heights, in my opinion, as some of the older stuff. What I do see though happening is there are a lot of FOMO'd singles, and in my opinion there's a lot of FOMO'd or overpriced slabs on the market at the moment, particularly things like Black Label Ascended Heroes. Like, did you see the price the Gengar and the Pikachu are gone for? Those aren't sustainable prices in my opinion. Those will come down. So that's where I see the market going. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you all next time.